Welcome everyone to Give a Shift, the podcast you want to be listening to if you want positive, radical change in your life. I'm Nancy Leeds-Gribble, one of the co-hosts.
And I'm Alicia Ziegler, your other co-host.
Yes, thank you. And we have a fabulous guest today. We have Kate Galli, all the way from, I'm going to let you say where you're from.
Sydney, Australia.
Yay! And it's bright and early where she is. So I'm going to introduce Kate. We're very, very excited that you're here and what you're going to share with us today. So Kate is an author and podcast host and a vegan health coach. Kate is qualified as a master personal trainer, life coach, NLP practitioner, and has also completed the very famous eCornell plant-based nutrition certification program. Kate first got into fitness as a way to transform her own body and confidence, and she has spent 17 years helping thousands of individuals sculpt a body and life they love, and over the past 7 years has focused on vegan health coaching as one of the most powerful ways to advocate for the animals is to be fit, strong, and healthy. Kate's vision is to create a fit, strong, happy, healthy, compassionate vegan world. And we are very, very excited to have you here today.
Yay!
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yes, thank you. So we are your fellow vegans here, and we talk to everyone. And so I'd love to hear, because you have mentioned that you were not always vegan. And so we'd love to learn a little bit more about you, kind of your journey, and where you are now.
Absolutely. I was that typical animal-loving little girl who still ate animals. And it probably, even I can remember declaring I could never be vegetarian. I loved the taste of animals so much. I hadn't made the connection until I did. And there were probably lots of little seeds planted along the way. But at 16 years old, I met a girl at school who literally just revealed to me the fact that these animals die for our food choices. And I became an ethical vegetarian basically overnight. I didn't realize that that's an absolute oxymoron, that animals were still dying for my food choices. And sadly, like so many of us, it wasn't until 23 years as a vegetarian that I watched Cowspiracy, and the truth was revealed to me. I basically became vegan overnight at that point in time. And I had been leading a super high protein, low carbohydrate vegetarian lifestyle. I'd been a personal trainer for a large amount of time at that point, about a decade or so. And so I remember taking to work a couple of dozen free range organic eggs to give away to clients because I needed all that stuff out of my house. And so, yeah, that was about 8 years ago that I made that change to the vegan lifestyle.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And did you notice right away any physical changes, mental, clarity? Any better sleep, less inflammation? Did anything physical happen or?
So as I mentioned, I'd been a trainer for about a decade, at least by that period of time. And I had sculpted, a body that I loved and felt very confident in with this low carb, high protein vegetarian diet. And I was already the freak in the gym, in the gym bro type of a gym that I worked at, where the boys thought I was a bit weird for being vegetarian. And so I actually had a lot of fear as to what might happen when I gave up all animal products. I thought I might gain a bit of fat, I might lose a bit of muscle, lose a bit of strength. One of the boys in the gym actually said to me, well, goodbye lean muscle mass, when I told him that I was going to become vegan. And thankfully, he was wrong. My body composition, he was so wrong. My body composition didn't change. I got a little bit stronger, which is amazing. And mostly it was just that weight of incongruency that was lifted. I didn't know that animals had still been suffering until I did know. And it's amazing the congruency that you feel when you make that change. And that was definitely the hugest change that I felt.
So you would definitely, for you, it seems more, because so I've been a vegan for a very long time. So I've been broing down. I've even competed. I always tell everybody,
yeah,
like,
you're built.
As much muscle mass as you want, and carbohydrates are my friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know why we're knocking the lentils and the beans around here, but
yes,
the body good. So, but you sound a lot like you definitely were on the, and I think it's so great to say, because I think a lot of people feel condemned or shamed, or it's not cool anymore to say, I really did it for the animals. Like there was a really compassion element to your shift, if you will, or your change into this whole realm of, well, shoot, if I got to give up eggs and cheese and so much of that, simply, honestly, because I do it with my clients too, is that's actually where I start them right before the meat. I say, there's a lot to be said for what you don't see in the milks or the cheeses or the eggs that you're having on your body, right? One, for the animals, and two, the cascading detrimental effects that it could be having. But for you, you said that you were an angry vegan. So can you explain more about that?
I can absolutely get into that. And Alicia, I do want to say, you're so right. It was 100% for the animals, my choice. I decided that what's my own vanity, you know, if the way my body looks and even functions suffers, so be it. The cruelty is too much. And as we all know, the way your body looks and functions does not suffer at all. Getting to that angry vegan component, and I guess why I've decided that love is so much easier than hate, it's the fact that I was lied to, that we were all lied to, that I became vegetarian for the animals, and yet they were still dying, and I didn't know that. And so when I watched Cowspiracy, I was so angry at the propaganda and the marketing and the big corporations and big governments and big media that had led me to believe the choices I was making were still compassionate and that they were necessary and normal, and they're just not. And then, as well as the anger, I had this huge amount of sadness that, you know, I ate, this is really embarrassing, but I ate up to 21 egg whites a day for a period of time. I had so much, it's hideous, you know, and I will just say too that I eat so many whole food carbohydrates now. I'm no longer scared of them. But I had that sadness and guilt. And then I also had this huge frustration that I learned the reality, the brutal truth, and I shared it with all the people I loved, and they didn't take it on board. So I became they didn't take it on board. You know, we all think we'll share this truth, and miraculously the compassionate people we love will just change overnight like we might have, and they don't. And so I became that stereotypical angry vegan, and no hate on my mad, crazy animal rights activist friends, because that's me in my heart. I've done a lot of activism. I did a few years of activism, my first few years, and I met some amazing people. And the issue is so horrific and urgent, and I think the natural response is to want to shake people and to be really, really angry. And so anyway, my learning, there's a bit of backstory so far as why I changed, and I think it's important to share. And the first of it, and butt in, ladies, where you want to. I know I'm talking a lot, but my transformation to lead with love, not hate, comes down to my dear mum. And a few years into, probably 2 years into my vegan journey, I always come home at Christmas time, and my mum's an amazing cook, and she leads with deliciousness. That's how she shows love. And
I love that, leads with deliciousness.
I learned it from her. You know, it's very effective.
An invitation. We're on our way.
Exactly. 2 years into my vegan journey, when I was very much into that animal rights activism and a bit more back history, Dad is the anti-vegan. And anyway, Mum said, Katie, I don't know what we're going to do about Christmas, because all the family would gather and they'd all gather around the meat products. And she said, unless you want to mastermind a vegan buffet and sell the family on it. I don't know what we're going to do. And I said, Mum, amazing. I'll totally mastermind all the vegan food. Can you sell the family? Anyway, it went amazing. I cooked 6 new dishes. It went absolutely amazing. The day after Christmas, it was such a success. Mum said to me, Katie, can you watch What the Health with me? And I'd been
one.
Oh, I'm gonna tear up.
I had been emotionally blackmailing them to try and watch What the Health ever since I became vegan. You know, I'd been trying to emotionally blackmail them. They had refused to. But after the delicious madness, Mum watched it with me. She was brought to tears by the documentary. As a former nurse of 30 years, she very much resonated with it. And she said, Kate, I'm going to try this plant-based thing for 2 weeks. Fast forward a couple of years, Mum was completely 100% plant-based. We became so much closer because of it. Sharing all the recipes, Mum veganizing all her old recipes, Mum becoming a bit of an activist. Amazing. And this is where the big shift happens from me being that angry vegan to leading with love, is that 2 years ago, almost exactly, my dear mum, who is the most important person in my world, died suddenly.
Oh, sorry.
And I'd spoken to her that morning on a Sunday, like I always do. And then by the afternoon, she was gone. And as anyone who's experienced loss of the most important person in their life will know, that just shatters your world more than you could ever imagine. And it took a while, however, the anger and the sadness and all of that I'd had to the non-vegans in my world, I just didn't have the energy for that anymore. I was so overwhelmed at the sadness at losing Mum, the only vegan in my family, and the person I loved most, that I made a conscious effort to start focusing on what I have in common with everyone else that is important to me, to start focusing on love, not hate, because I think I was just emotionally done. I didn't have anything else in me to give.
And probably first, sorry for your loss of your mom.
Thank you.
And you know, I think something happens. We've all experienced loss on here, and you just realize the amount of energy that it takes to remain angry. And it is, you know, there's so many things in the world that we were talking about that we can get angry over. And then I'm an ethical vegan too. That's how I started. And now I'm like for the vegan, you know, for the health of it too. But it's easy once you're awakened to what's happening to want to shake everybody up. And you find yourself sometimes in debates you don't want to be in, like people just want to debate you. And you have to learn how to separate the people that are genuinely asking questions from those that debate you. But I think it's kind of that when you first make these shifts into changing your eating habits and then letting everybody know it is for ethical reasons, you do get a little like bombarded, and then you lose somebody. And it's like, you know what? Like this living a happy life is important. Doing what you can is important, but then sharing the love. And I think we actually attract more people who are interested when we do lead with love and compassion. I agree. We need frontline people. I always say I've never been able to be that person in the front lines, and I pray for them all the time because I think it's a very, very sad and hard job to take on, and we need it. But we need those of us in the background too, who balance it out with love and say, come on in, let me show you. And I'll meet you where you're at. And that's what it sounds like. Your mom passed away and you're like, okay, I can't put my energy there. But how can I keep sharing this message?
And I think
absolutely
there's an element of like discernment, right? You have to like decide I was like you for a very long time too. And there wasn't, for myself, it was such and I've mentioned it before on the podcast, having lost so many people to health and cancer, and being privy to hearing, well, had you just eaten better or differently, and then having everything that they've chosen, and that's okay. Everybody can live their life as is, but to hear it and to not be angry growing up from a small child over time, it was really hard to say, but see, you have control and you can make choices and we can be more compassionate beings. So to kind of piggyback what you were saying, because I started to fall back into that trap, is I go to church on Sundays and I'm being preached to by somebody who thinks it's almost comical to say, yeah, that cow looks delicious.
Oh, yes.
But in the same breath, you're asking me to be kind. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm sitting there and I'm to the point now, I'm like, I am 6 years in of saying, but I look and feel like me. You don't feel well. And I just want to help you. And whether you do one little thing or you want to go, dive into the pool. And I thought, you got to do it with love. So I walked up to him and he said, hey, Alicia. And I grabbed him. I gave him a hug and I said, kindness starts on your plate.
Oh, nice.
And then I walked away because I thought, you want me to be kind right now in this crazy world. And all I'm thinking is, but we're a voice for the voiceless, and the actions that we take and the choices, the marketing, how we are as humans determines what gets on our plate. Just like Kate was saying, like we decide what it's going to look like, how we're going to get marketed to, what it tastes like we have more power than we think. But I think we relinquish it when you feel like you're kind of taking a back seat and you don't want to. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's so much easier on your soul to just do it with love. I know. And when you're ready, I'm here. Right.
So perfect. And I'll share, because I'm sure some of our listeners will relate. I was always expecting that phone call from my mum saying, Katie, it's your dad, because dad doesn't eat healthily. His mindset wasn't as healthy as my mum's. I was never expecting it to be mum. However, when mum went, it made me think, if that had been dad, I would have had regrets because our relationship couldn't have been better. Zero regrets about my relationship with my mum. That was completely amazing. But with my dad, I knew that there were huge blocks in our relationship. And one of those huge blocks was my vegan lifestyle. And so I needed to start to reach out to him, because I'm an only child. He's my only immediate family member. You too. Amazing. But I mean, I'm sure some people will relate to that this part of our lifestyle is so important to us, and it's driving a wedge in relationships with loved ones. And that's something that we can fix. And once we start to reach out a bit, amazingly, they often start to reach out in return, which my father did.
And I'll present this to you, because this is kind of what I've deciphered, right? It's not how I'm eating or what I'm doing. It's that you feel threatened that we're not on the same page.
100%. Yes.
I don't actually have this, I can't believe you, but I feel attacked.
Yeah.
I don't eat like you. Now you're upset, and now I'm upset. And now I feel like I need to be defensive, or I need to give you statistics, or I need to show you my health report, or how my heart works at night, and all of a sudden it becomes this thing.
100%.
When honestly, I just was letting you know, like, I'm not going to eat that, because I'm just choosing not to eat that. We don't have to talk about it. I don't need to go into it. I am on the 4th of July with my own food. I have no qualms about what you're doing, but yet there is this really combative, interesting, like, well, what's wrong with what I'm doing? And I'm like, it's just not what I'm doing. No different.
Absolutely.
Than right? Like, if I'm going running and you're going biking, we're not fighting. We're both exercising. Like, but it's interesting, because I do find that in the vegan plant-based world, like, we're just trying to love all beings on planet Earth.
And
100%.
People that are mad at us for not eating the same way.
And it's still so, like, The same. I mean, I've been vegan now 17 years. I've been vegetarian in my early 20s. Same thing. Didn't connect the dairy dots. That's what I call them. I didn't eat eggs, but I didn't eat a lot of cheese, but I just hadn't connected those dots. But even today, and I'm sure you two could relate, you go to dinner and it's like, who's the vegan? The vegan, you know, I'm like, we all just need shirts. Like, I'm AKA the vegan. But it is funny because I'm in Texas and there's not a lot of vegans. We're just going to say that that I have met yet. I'm waiting for you Texan vegans to come my way. But the funny thing that I have found is that sometimes people can razz us and it's okay. And then if we should choose to give it back, suddenly we are the angry vegan. And I'm like, wait a minute. I just had to sit here. I am an ethical vegan. I make no bones about it, and take all the hits quietly. And then maybe one day I don't feel like taking the hits and I say something, and then you're the angry vegan. What do you do when you come up with that, when that hits your world?
Do you know, it's so true. And the funny thing about it is I've done a lot of street activism where you show the horrific images of the animals being slaughtered. And I found that people will match my energy. So generally, I've had the most amazing conversations with strangers on the street, be they dairy farmers, be they cattle, whatever it may be, amazing conversations. However, family is different because you have this heritage and history and the role you play. And I found, you know, to get personal with my father specifically, he didn't match the energy that I brought. It got so heated, as you've described, Alicia, like they can start at 100%, like 10 out of 10 on fire just because you're there and they're feeling judged, even if you're not judging. However, to give hope to our listeners who might be in a similar situation, when you start making the first step, even though you feel like you shouldn't have to, because you're the one just like doing it for the animals and out of compassion and out of love, but when you put yourself out a fair bit, it's amazing how much they can come to the game. And so, to share a personal example, when I flew home to where Dad is in Queensland 1 year after Mum passed away, and the entire time that I had been vegan, Dad had not cooked me one individual item, like not a potato in the oven, not like absolutely nothing. And I had cooked him and Mum so many things, full meals, just like, oh, I'm doing some baked potatoes, would you like one? That sort of thing. Nothing from my father in the entire years that I'd been vegan. It was like a little mini protest of his. When I flew home 12 months on from Mum passing away, he cooked me an entire tofu stir-fry type of a meal that, like, mind-blowing, right? He had to find the recipe, he had to get the wok, he had to learn how to do it, like, and that just, my heart, you know, like, so beautiful, everything, right? And every time I go home, he now has a meal waiting for me, like, amazing.
So I was going to ask you, had he resented you at all after your mom had started to make the switch, and did it make it just added fuel to the fire, and then he realized,
Understatement. Like, when I was the mad, crazy vegetarian, you know, that was bad enough and embarrassing enough. My father, for a few years, horrifically, had a meat business where he sold meat to top-end restaurants in the city where he lived. And so when you'd go out to a restaurant and he'd rock up to see the chef and be schmoozing and all of that, like, it would be embarrassing that he'd have his daughter there asking what was vegetarian, and a billion times worse when I was asking what was vegan, and then a trillion times worse when I converted my mother, who was an amazing cook, who used to cook all this meat for him. And to be fair, she still cooked meat for him until he made a horrifically discouraging comment about how hard it was to live with a vegan, and she decided, right, you know, I'm not cooking your meat anymore, mate. And so there was friction in the relationship because of her veganism, and that just gave me even so much more respect for her, but it did make the relationship with Dad more fraught for both of us.
So having, since all of this change, we won't ask about dad. We won't put him on, we won't put him on the chopping block. Or have you been able, since you've kind of leaned into the love and the compassionate side, and then also had the benefits of feeling so great, to have any family members or friends or even your clients make the shift with you?
So the clients,
you and been like, I want to do what you're doing, or
the clients I've definitely had the most impact with. You know, I have some dear friends who won't order animal products in front of me. So I don't think they've made much of a change to their own lifestyle day to day. However, they, out of respect, don't order animal products when they're dining with me.
Really
that's
kind.
massive.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's lovely. I think it's a pretty small thing to do.
One meal. That's one meal.
You know, everything counts. Everything counts. Family, no. And I've got to just keep reminding myself, no one's mum, like no one's as good as her, as compassionate, as loving as her. Don't compare them to her. That's impossible. That's very high standards. The clients, yes, only for health reasons. I don't know that any of them have really made the ethical connection, because I've learned a lot in terms of the way you talk about the lifestyle. You know, I trained some very super successful people, and when I go in on my mad little animal rights activist rant and I talk about dairy mums being raped, that doesn't fly with my clients.
Doesn't. No.
I just, you know, I've seen the facial expression.
Kate.
Yeah, it doesn't do it.
Strangely, that doesn't work. But when I talk about the amazing plant-based doctors that I've interviewed on the podcast, and the health benefits and the disease prevention and reversal, that deeply does resonate with them. And so a lot of my clients have made some big changes, but none of them are proudly flying the 100% vegan flag yet, sadly.
So is your podcast vegan?
Oh, yes. So my podcast is healthification, and I have the odd non-vegan if they have something absolutely amazing to share. However, my heart is interviewing passionate and compassionate authors, activists, athletes, doctors, entrepreneurs. That's my heart.
That's amazing. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
Like Simon Hill. Like, do you have people that you follow that you love too? Like,
he is
favorite, like your favorite vegans? Because I have about like 25, so I'll leave you with
Simon, is a fellow Aussie, is absolutely amazing, and he has a restaurant, or I think it's actually his partner primarily, has a restaurant down here in Bondi near me called Eden, which it is amazing to see. I've sadly seen quite a few amazing vegan restaurants come and go in my area of Sydney, and that breaks my heart. However, this is a full vegan restaurant and it is killing it. I guess that's not the right term because they're not killing anything, but it's doing incredibly well. Aside from Simon, so many people that I love. Obviously, Rich Roll. What a powerhouse.
Yeah, Rich, and I started Rich's podcast when it was like 001 episode.
100%. 100%. And I guess in my interview career, some of the highlights have been Ingrid Newkirk from PETA. Like, I have ongoing mad respect for her. She cops so much propaganda, hate, rubbish, and she is just an amazing powerhouse.
I love that. So I have one more question, because I'm like, go to the doctor, your result. Like, do you have side by side, like pre-meat versus on a plant-based diet for yourself?
Something's happened a little bit to the audio. Can you ladies recognize that? The echo?
Is it gone?
I hear everybody.
It's gone now. Okay. Kind of. It's gone. Alicia, I need to rephrase. I need you to rephrase that.
Like physical results for our listeners, like, oh, my blood panel was better, or my cholesterol went down, or you said that you didn't gain weight when you shocking, you ate more fiber and you didn't gain weight. Like
100%.
For a health aspect, for our listeners that might be curious about going vegan, do you have any tips or tricks or kind of takeaways or things that they could start that journey, maybe like you did?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of my own personal health results, everything has been pretty much on par. I would recommend that people do some bloods prior to making a big lifestyle change, not because the lifestyle is dangerous or hard or anything like that, but there's a natural human tendency, and I had it, to almost believe the propaganda. And if anything went wrong, like I was really tired at the end of a huge year, I was like, prone to thinking, oh, it's the vegan diet. And it absolutely wasn't. My bloods keep coming back perfect. However, it's like in the back of your head, that propaganda, so there's benefit to that. But so far as tips, I would say move at your own pace. There's no such thing as a bad vegan or a failed vegan. At your own pace, seek out the mentors that you respect. You know, for me, it was consciously seeking out those fit, lean, strong, buff vegans that rocked it in the gym. And I didn't know they existed until I hunted for them. And oh my goodness, there's so much inspiration out there. I would also say the more certain you are of your choices in a loving and compassionate way, the more accepting your loved ones will be of it. I mean, it frustrates me on my clients' behalf to listen to them looking to make a lifestyle change, and then they're like, oh, but such and such made me this, and so I couldn't say no, whatever it may be, whether it's from a losing weight point of view or whether it's from a ditching the animals out of your diet point of view. If you are certain, you teach people how to treat you, right? So if you're always making little compromises because you don't want to disappoint someone, you're a people pleaser, they've gone to a lot of effort. If you keep making those compromises, they're going to keep presenting you with whatever it is, that animal-based food, whatever it is. And I do, because we touched on the leading with love, not hate, I do have a quick little ABC to make that a bit actionable if we have time.
Yeah. I still have one more question for you.
I want to just interject real fast on the saying no. So I think when you come from the place of we do, and like we were very, all three of us, very strong in our belief, what we were doing. So just saying no, you know, we grew that skin. So I'd get a lot of clients. We get a lot of clients too, right? And they're like, oh yeah, someone offered this, someone offered that, and I just couldn't say no. But do you remember the malls, like when they were really happening, and they had all those kiosk people in the middle?
Would you like some perfume? Would you like
you look like this America? I would tell my clients, I would go, what I want you to do today is I want you to go walk the mall 5 times, and I want you to practice no, thank you. No, thank you.
I love that.
So that it starts to roll off your tongue, because it really is hard. It's not like, you know, it's not like they're like, oh, I don't want to disappoint somebody, but the changes are hard for them as it is. And this just kind of, when somebody's like, oh, do you want that? And it's that feeling of acceptance. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll just do this one time. And then we know it rolls into 2 and it rolls into 3.
Well, so then you're making concessions, and then you're not having the integrity that you like wanted or trying to align with. And now you're feeling guilty. And then all of a sudden it's this.
Yeah, snowballs. Yeah.
Monumental event that you're like, wait a minute, I should have just said no.
Yeah. So it's practice.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, it's like you have to actually practice it. And then I would tell some people would go into a novel, and that's when you're like, no is a complete sentence. It's not no, blah, 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 blah. It's just no. Or no, thank you. We can be polite. No, thank you.
Thank you, please.
Anyway, you just made me remember that story when people were going to the malls, and I would be like, go do that.
I love that tip. Yeah. I love that tip.
Yeah.
So for my
back to the
No. No, ABC is Kate. Let's have
ABC, amazing. So for my angry vegan friends who feel like it's costing you too much carrying around, this anger and sadness and frustration all the time, the ABC, the first is an awareness. I want you to imagine how your life is going to look in 6 months' time, 12 months' time. 18 months' time, if 24/7 you're carrying this heaviness in your heart, this energy zapping level of anger and frustration and sometimes even hate, and you're directing it towards the people you love most, the people at work, your family, your friends, just imagine how your life is going to look if that continues. That's A, it's awareness. B is to actually brainstorm both the things you can stop doing and also the things you can start doing to start leading with love, not hate. So for me personally, I actually had to stop going to some of my activism events, and I had guilt with that for a period of time. I had to filter my social media feeds a little bit more, so I wasn't seeing those horrific videos just as much. I wasn't sharing them just as much. I had to stop having some of the conversations. I think, Nancy, you mentioned it, where they're just up for a debate. They really don't care. They just want to debate a vegan. Their heart's not in it, and it costs you too much. Some of the things I started doing is filling my feeds with sanctuaries and happy videos and good news stories and listening to inspiring podcasts.
Hey, that's so brilliant.
100%. Like, just choose those positive influences, the food creators on YouTube that are really super positive. There are so many of them. And start sharing your delicious food as well. Like, no preaching right now, just the delicious food. They're the start doing things. And then the C is all about a commitment. So a commitment to yourself that you're going to work on the love, not the hate. And also share that commitment, share it widely. That's why I share it widely, because you better believe if I am going around sharing about how I stopped being an angry vegan and I let a little bit of my angry vegan show, you can bet that people are going to call me on it, and they have. Hey, Kate, I thought you weren't the angry vegan. So make that commitment and share it. And, I hope this helps. And again, zero judgment for my animal rights activist friends. I have so much respect for you. I just want you to be happy and healthy and in it for the animals long term, because we need you. And sometimes you need to put some time and effort into you and your mental health so that you can be in it long term.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, because that is hard. It is a hard one, being the grassroots, being the one out there making those big gestures, that we need, I only need to see something once and I'm like, got it. Like, I don't need to see it over and over. And I agree. Like, we just pray and I thank God every day that we have everybody in all the different areas. But I think no matter where we land, we can all experience kind of that anger rising a little bit. Whether it's being made fun of, whether it's even something that is just a normal commercial, but it gets you. It's like, or then you're on the front lines and it's like that anger starts to come up. So it's nice to remember to move it over into love.
Like, I can't yell at the commercial. Yeah, but the uric acid. Cheese on it. But the calcification. No.
There's so many things.
That was the only other thing that I was going to ask you too, is that I'm guessing that with your lifestyle and all of that, you choose the more whole foods, natural foods, as opposed to the processed vegan foods, because Nancy and I do always try to tell people that just because we're vegan doesn't mean that we're like, yay, the package says vegan, I'm going to eat it. Right. Yeah. It's just, could be just as bad as a bag of Doritos or what have you. So is that something?
I'm really passionate about that. Like, primarily whole food, plant-based. I do love the odd processed vegan treat. However, again, I want my animal rights activist friends to be happy and healthy and in it for the long haul. And if they are only caring about the animals and living on processed vegan crapola, that's not good for them long term. And I also, if appealing to their health isn't compelling to them yet, I think also it can be a really effective form of activism. Just rocking around as the opposite of that dodgy old stereotype about being weak and whatever it may be, rocking around as a fit, strong, healthy, happy vegan, that is a powerful way to advocate for the animals.
That's awesome.
I agree.
I love her.
I know, she's fantastic. She's
We're
fantastic.
going to Kate's for Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll help her, Dad.
I would love to write, like, let's go on over some deliciousness. I would love it. I know you have created a journal. Are you comfortable like sharing that journal with us here?
Oh, I would love to.
I would love to see it. And yeah.
Oh, I can actually show you it. Yeah, here's the journal, but
plant positive.
Plant positive journal.
I need to own this.
Yeah, I can send you ladies one. It is a beast.
Tell us a little bit about it. I would love to know.
Okay, for those of you that are only listening and you don't see, we will post a photo with the link to obtain this. But it is a gorgeous, that was beautiful, journal that Kate has created.
Thank you.
Yes. I saw the picture and I was like, that's pretty spectacular.
It's stunning.
Yeah. So do you know, I see it as my little vegan Trojan horse. So I want to infiltrate the non-vegan majority with this beautiful beast of a journal. So it's a step-by-step guide to mastering both your time and your mind while adopting a healthy plant-based lifestyle. So it's a daily planner.
Christmas present.
It's an amazing present. I guess my most important success habit is planning my day to come the night before. So I had been doing that in a gratitude diary with a daily planner for years. My dear mum bought me that first diary, and there was one thing that the diary was missing. It wasn't vegan. And so I actually created the Plant Positive Journal working with the diary's creator as my mentor. Her name's Melanie Spears. And I created it so that it had the daily planner and your gratitudes and your reference points for success. And also every single month, there's a primary focus. Every single week, there's an action that you take. And they're all aligned with creating the most effective mindset to make your best plant-based eating and exercising habits simple and sustainable. So there's beautiful artwork, there's recipes. It's 508 pages. So I'm posting it all around the world. However, it's heavy to post. It's nearly 1 kilo. So there's also an editable PDF version of it that people can get immediately. Just as beautiful, but I like writing, not typing.
I know.
I'm old school. I can do some things, but then I'm old school.
Yeah.
I like to write. I like to do that. It's absolutely gorgeous. When I was looking over your website and I saw it, I'm like, oh my gosh, the graphics just very eye-catching. Did you do those graphics?
No. So, the lesson in this, I'm a lone wolf, right? Only child, lone wolf. I like complete control, complete responsibility. However, I collaborated with, I hired an artist, I hired a graphic designer, I hired a mentor, editor, all of this big project. And I came up with something so much more beautiful than I could ever have created. And that's a big lesson. And as the little vegan Trojan horse, it's for the plant-based curious individual. It's for the existing vegan that wants to be more healthy, but it's also that beautiful gift for someone that just likes to manage their time and their mind, because I want them to just use it because it's beautiful. And then bit by bit, they're like, oh, what's she banging on about with this plant-based lifestyle thing, and just it will creep up on them, hopefully.
If they read it page by page. It is. There is something, like I always tell people, there's something very therapeutic about when you're in the kitchen and when you have fresh whole foods. And I think massaging kale is like one of the most therapeutic things. I really do. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it's around that greenery. But even if you're not around it fresh, when you have those beautiful graphics and stuff, there is, in the weirdest way, it's still nourishing. Like just having the elements of the graphics of the elements around you and sitting there, and it's pretty and it's in your space and it invites you to open it. And then it's got little nuggets.
It does.
You off your blue screen and puts you on Kate's green screen.
Yes. Yes. Kate, this has been
phenomenal.
Amazing.
Thank you.
We're now going to be besties across the world.
Amazing.
we got
what I usually do, which is find Kate right now.
Yes, find Kate. Yes. And so we will post everything. We'll post all the links, but how can our listeners start following you, find you, get this beautiful plant positive journal, all the things?
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. The best place to connect with me is via the website, strongbodygreenplanet.com. You'll find the Plant Positive Journal there. You'll find the Healthification podcast there and all my social links. And ladies, you are so much fun. This has been a fabulous conversation.
I can't wait to have you back on.
I would love that.
I can't wait to have Kate and her dad on in 2024.
Wow, that would be amazing.
What do we think, listeners?
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
I love it. But you know what? That's such a great topic. Like that's a really big topic for people, like navigating home and family.
It's funny that you say that, because one of my most downloaded episodes on the Healthification podcast was my mom's plant-based journey. It was something about transitioning with love. It was something like that back in the day, years ago now, 5 years ago probably now. It was so well downloaded, and people just fell in love with my mom because you could tell the kindness. And she became a repeat visitor on the podcast. And I've often thought, wow, to have dad would be such a different conversation, and it would be powerful as well. He's not there yet.
Yeah.
but down the track, to have that sort of a difficult conversation, because all of us, most of us, have that non-vegan loved one in our family, and we need to learn from each other so far as how to deal with it. God, I need the tips. So
that's my entire family.
I just
I got nobody.
They go, oh, that looks amazing. Can I have some? And then I'm like, no, because I only brought enough for one. You can go.
All the time. Even this Saturday, we're going to another bridal shower, and they're like, oh, there's no food. There will be no food for you. And I'm like, I got it. Like, I know how to bring my own stuff. This is old hat.
Yeah, because it always looks so appetizing.
Yeah.
Everybody wants it.
Amazing. So you've got to bring extra deliciousness then, Alicia. I think you've got to up the quantity when you're cooking.
And Nancy's a cook. Like, she just built her whole kitchen to dominate the world. So
amazing. Amazing.
So when you're in the States, we'll all get together.
Yes,
amazing.
100%. Or if you're having a little retreat party, let us know.
Amazing. That sounds fun.
All right. Thank you very, very much. Again, everybody, we will post all the links again, so how you can find and follow Kate. She's an absolute inspiration. Thank you, Kate, for all that you're doing for the animals and for the health of our people. And we appreciate you, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you ladies big time too. Thank you.
Thank you.